trip was sponsored. He had sponsorship.
Right. You had a lot of the so-called Jewish powers finance a lot of things.
And when we say Jewish, we have to say so-called, just like we will say so-called Native Americans. They're not their authentic names that you would understand according to Scripture, so we have to say so-called. Many of the conquerors had a practice of renaming.
Yes.
People, places, all types of things. So it is very important that we reference the so-called. So the so-called Jews who had rerouted from Germany and were converts over in the land.
Now, man named this land make that we're on America, but that's not what the Most High called it. Let's keep reading it, bro.
Verse 43 again. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. Verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over.
The Most High does that for his people, don't he? He calms the water. Even Christ calmed the water for Peter, didn't he?
Yeah.
He calmed the Red. He split the Red Sea. Go pass on through. He does that for his people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Prophet.
Verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go.
A great way to go.
Namely, of a year and a half.
Wow, so it took the 10 tribes, the northern tribes, a year and a half to travel from Assyria to the Euphrates to find this new land that no mankind had dwelt.
Right.
Go ahead.
Of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth.
Now, catch that, brothers and sisters. This is what the Most High called it. What did he say? What's the name of it?
He called it Asareth. Verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. And now, when they shall begin to come, the highest, the Most High, shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace.
With peace. Go ahead.
But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Now, when he destroyed the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain.
So we want to stop it right there. But brothers and sisters, look, this is history that can be documented with the history books of today. This is the Most High giving you explanation on what happened to the 10 tribes, where did they go. And it gives you the reason on why Christopher Columbus stumbled upon this new land, seeing people in the land. These people, he named them Indians. But the Indians he was thinking about was India.
He thought that's where he was.
Okay. Now, we had the Bible, we had the Apocrypha to show you a little bit about Gad. Now what we're going to do is go a little bit more traditionally into the Thanksgiving, okay? This is an article that the prophet is going to start reading, and we're going to show you this. But before we even read it, let's go to Deuteronomy 28, because I'm going to show you the prophecy here. Let's go to Deuteronomy in your King James Bible, chapter 28. But why we keep going to Deuteronomy 28 prophets all the time? Everything hinges on Deuteronomy 28. The condition of the world now, brothers and sisters, is because of Deuteronomy 28.
And what's so unique even about today, in our previous teachings, we often bring you to Deuteronomy 28, but we're bringing it to show you, we would bring you to show you what the result of the southern kingdom. This today, we're dealing with the northern kingdom.
We're dealing with the northern kingdom. But I'm telling you, the prophecy applied to all of the people.
And that's my point. We always, many people, you'll hear them teaching because we are the Negroes or whatever, we want to know where we come from, but recognize Judah's being woken up because we're the ones to teach. But the curses befell all of the Israelites.
Now the majority, like the prophet said, the bulk of this prophecy, this is what I'm about to read here in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it happened to Judah. Okay? It happened to Judah, all right? The majority of this right here, right? But this happened to all the tribes in some form or fashion.
Right.
And when she reads from the history note that we pulled up today, you're going to see it. Read verse 68, Prophet.
Right. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And to where?
into Egypt, which means bondage, because we know that they didn't need to get in a ship to get back to Egypt.
We know, brothers and sisters, that when Israel was led out of Egypt with Moses, when they were led out of Egypt with Moses, they walked out. They never went back there in ships of no kind.
Right.
So either this is confusion or we just don't understand.
Right.
Because the author, the Lord, the Most High, is not the author of confusion.
Correct.
Read it, Prophet.
And the Lord, the Most High, shall bring thee into Egypt. So as we precept the term Egypt, we'll realize that Egypt, from a Hebrew perspective, means bondage. So when we read it as it's been precept and broken down, understanding the meaning of the word, as the elder stated, and the Lord, the Most High, shall bring thee into bondage again with ships.
With ships.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
Shall see what no more again?
That land.
What land?
Where
our homeland?
Your homeland. Thou shalt see it no more again. No. Or is it? Yeah. Yeah. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy thee, and that means no man will be able to redeem you.
But this has been hidden in the Bible. This has been in the Bible all this time. You look at history. You look at fact on fact. You can relate to seeing black men and black women handcuffed being sold on auction block. You can relate to that. It happened. But you know what? It just didn't happen to Judah. All right, get ready to follow us. We're going to let the prophets bring out this education here. This is a document that we put up online. Prophets, can you give us a link to this? What's the title of it?
AmericanIndianSource.com.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, a day of mourning.
A day of mourning. A day of mourning. Now, but for most of, if you're not Native American, you really don't mourn on this day, do you? On that day.
So-called Native American.
So-called Native American.
So-called Native American.
It's a day of mourning for them, right?
It should be a day of mourning for everyone of the child of Israel.
Well, look, we're going to let the prophets bring this out. You guys can follow us along. We're here. Take notes. Remember now, we just read Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, and we're going to show you even the prophecy relating to these people. Go ahead, prophet.
Again, Thanksgiving, a day of mourning by Roy Cook. Most school children are taught that Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, helped the Pilgrims and were invited to the first Thanksgiving feast. Young children's conceptions of Native Americans often develop out of media portrayals and classroom role playing of the events of the first Thanksgiving.
So even growing up, I went through that. I did it too. I was in the play. I was thinking it was the turkey prophet.
Oh.
Did you start in the play? Were you in the play at one time?
I vaguely remember a play maybe in kindergarten or something. I might have been an Indian.
Okay. I remember the girls always wanted to be the Indian, which is great. But I was a turkey. They wanted to eat me up. I was a turkey. Look, that's vivid. That's vivid recall history of us as a child growing up.
Of what we have been taught.
Of what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Go ahead, Bob.
The conception of Native Americans gained from such early exposure is both inaccurate and potentially damaging to others.
Yes.
Therefore, most children do not know the following facts, which explain why many American Indians, which we know to be Gadites, today call Thanksgiving a day of mourning.
Now, it said most children, most adults don't even know.
Well, here's the thing. He's saying most children, but we have to understand the layer of intellect. If you learned it as a child, as we're recalling even ourselves, then not only have you learned it and have never woken up to what reality is, you taught it again to another generation and another generation and another generation. Okay, and he goes on. Traditional hospitality and generosity have and continue to be constant tribal virtues to be practiced at all times. One of a series of feasts reaching back into the group memory has been seized upon by the current modern society. The Wampanoag feast called the Nicomashiwani or Grand Sikim's Council Feast.
Oh, bless you, Prophetess. You trying to get that word out. I know it's a tongue twister. But that's okay. You're doing a great job. So they already they had a name for a feast, the Indians?
The Grand Sikim's Council Feast. It was because of this feast in 1621 that the Wampanoags had amassed the food to help the pilgrims, thereby creating a new tradition, European tradition, known today as Thanksgiving Day.
Now, what year was that again? Read that. What year was
1621.
Now, okay, when was the King James Version Bible put together?
1611.
So this is in the year of who?
1621.
Okay, so keep on reading, Prophets. Now, these Native Americans, they assembled a feast of their own understanding. They brought it together, but the Native Americans, they renamed it. I mean, the European Americans, they renamed it. Did you just say that, Prophet? They put their own name on stuff? They take over stuff? Mm-hmm. All the streets on the earth is named after them? Mm-hmm. Okay? Look, what did the Native Americans call it?
Wampanoag feast.
So in honor of those Native Americans, that's really the name of the feast, Wampanoag. And they did it out of generosity, right? Mm-hmm. And kindness, right? Who told you to take over my feast and put your name on it? Keep reading, Prophet. Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
All right. Wampanoags had amassed the food to help the pilgrims, thereby creating a new tradition. Mm-hmm. Creating a new tradition, European tradition, known today as Thanksgiving Day. The Wampanoag feast is marked by traditional food and games, telling of stories and legends, sacred ceremonies and councils on the affairs of the nation.
Okay, so brothers and sisters, let me bring this out to you, okay? Let me bring this out. The Native Americans, even in the old movies, even in your understanding, they have always been known to tell what we call folklore or stories, right, around campfires. They have always been known to do that, right? Mm-hmm. They told stories of what happened to their forefathers, passed it down. Mm-hmm. These people that they were sharing this with betrayed them. They know of it. They betrayed these people. Mm-hmm. Keep reading, Prophet.
Massasoit came with 90 Wampanoag men and brought 5 deer, fish, all the food, and Wampanoag cooked. Before the pilgrims arrived, Plymouth had been the site of a Pontoic village, which was wiped out by a plague.
Okay, so the name of this place was already, Plymouth was already the site they were thinking about, right? Having this feast on Plymouth. So, go ahead, Papa. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Papa. Keep going.
Okay, wiped out by a plague, introduced by English explorers looking to grab a piece of the New World land.
So there we go. There was already a plague in the land that was introduced by who?
The Europeans introduced. Okay, so introduced by English explorers who were looking to grab, basically it should read steal, a piece of the New World land.
They've been stealing since 1621, brothers and sisters.
So, 5 years before the pilgrims landed, these native peoples had met Europeans before the pilgrims arrived. Mm-hmm. So it seems like, you know, how Joshua and Caleb were sent to search the land out, that they had met some people who came for that very reason, to search the land out. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand how history goes, and when you're trying to conquer a new land, that's what normally happens. Someone goes out as the troop to see, you know, is it livable, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So one such European was Captain Thomas Hunt, who started trading with the native people in 1614.
Okay.
He captured 20 Pontoics and 7 Naugatuck, selling them as slaves. This is a characteristic of these people. They're showing their characteristics, selling them as slaves. So when we look at what Elder lifted up in Deuteronomy 28, You shall go back into Egypt. You shall be returned